In the beginning of time, people all over the world practiced mystical rituals, releasing evil spirits capable of controlling the bodies and minds of humans. With the world engulfed in chaos, warriors with the power to manipulate magic emerged, known as necromancers. Thanks to their power, evil was banished to the darkness, but some spirits managed to escape, hiding in a new kind of lair, the internet. Nowadays, friends Howard and Rangi work cleaning sewers using a vacuum truck. On another day of work, Howard puts the hose in the pipe and asks his colleague to activate the pump on the truck. However, Rangi is so distracted by his cell phone that he turns the machine on at a higher power, causing the dirty water to spread everywhere. As soon as the madman turns off the pump, Howard is forced to take a shower in the middle of the street to get rid of the stench. Shortly after, his adopted brother appears, saying that their mother sent a new list of jobs to do. Even though he's tired after working 17 hours straight, Howard obeys and follows Rangi down the road to clean more sewer lines. Along the way, Rangi sees an advertisement on his cell phone, asking if he wants to participate in a game that will change his life. Curious about the offer, he accepts and gains access to a ghost hunting game using his cell phone camera. He then logs into the application, with his registration being received on a computer in a secret laboratory. Inside, a group of individuals are being held prisoner, with one of them tied to a chair amidst a pentagram drawing. Immediately afterwards, a mysterious woman brings a goat into the room, and by pressing the detonator, she explodes the poor animal. After this sacrifice, a machine is activated, and it fires electric shocks at the prisoner, who is possessed by an evil spirit. Apparently, the spirits have returned to attack the world, and they have some connection to the ghost hunting game. Meanwhile, Rangi remains obsessed with the game and starts pointing the camera in all directions, trying to capture a spirit. Howard thinks it's nonsense, but his friend is startled to see a ghost right in the middle of the road. Howard is forced to stop the truck, and Rangi runs over with his phone, pointing the camera at the spirit. With one touch, he manages to catch it, but at the same instant, Howard falls to the ground, feeling a sharp pain in his neck. Rangi asks if his friend is alright, but he believes it was just discomfort from overwork. The two then decide to continue their journey, but before they do, they see a transmitter on a lamppost labeled Necropod. These devices are scattered throughout the city, and apparently, they are what create the ghosts in the game. The pair then leave in the truck, while some distance away, the game's creators meet to review the week's results. Through a video call, they talk to Finnegan, the project manager, and the same woman who inserted the evil spirit into the prisoner. One of the company's partners says that thanks to the game's enormous success, more than 1 million people are connected at the same time. Finnegan is very pleased with this, but in the middle of the meeting, Lurch, one of her henchmen, brings another prisoner to his boss. Without the other partners seeing, Finnegan approaches the man and uses powerful magic to suck his soul. Afterward, she returns to the meeting and orders the group to continue refining the game, because if anything goes wrong with their plan, they will all be eliminated. Shortly after, in another part of the city, 3 necromancers, Luther and his daughters Molly and Torkel, confront possessed humans. Despite being skilled warriors, most of the necromancers were eliminated, leaving the trio as the last resistance against the evil spirits. After the confrontation, Luther flees with his daughters, but says that if they don't find more warriors, they won't last much longer. Back in Howard, he continues driving down the road, while Rangi hunts for more spirits. However, when he points the camera towards his friend, the screen begins to react, as if Howard were one of the ghosts. Finding this suspicious, Rangi presses the camera button, but this awakens a mysterious energy in Howard's body, throwing him out of the truck. The man tries to help his friend, but Howard feels unwell and begins to see spirits everywhere. At that moment, the energy he emits is detected by Finnegan, who claims to have finally found his target. After locating the source of this power, she uses the connection to the mobile game and sends an evil spirit, which invades the body of one of the users nearby. The subject is completely dominated by the entity, and upon seeing Howard, he attacks him. The two confront each other inside a factory, with the possessed man grabbing an axe and lunging at Howard. Luckily, Rangi appears to help him and begins to strike the possessed man with an iron pipe. Despite their efforts, the entity is stronger, and Rangi is pushed away with a punch. Finally, the possessed being pins Howard against the wall and uses the same magic as Finnegan to suck out his soul. However, Howard manages to escape, and with his hand, emits an unusual type of energy, destroying the evil spirit inside the subject. The energy emitted in the fight is also tracked by the necromancers, and minutes later Molly arrives at the scene, where she finds Rangi and Howard, unconscious on the ground. The two are taken to another room, where Luther removes a device from Howard's neck and applies a new one. Frightened, he asks what's happening, and Luther reveals himself to be a necromancer, hunters capable of controlling magic to combat evil spirits. He says he was a great friend of Howard's parents, but his mother was possessed by an evil spirit. His mother is none other than Finnegan, and in the past, she was responsible for eliminating several entities, until they managed to take refuge using the virtual environment of the internet. To eliminate them once and for all, Finnegan created a machine to connect her mind to cyberspace and confront the spirits. However, she spent so much time in the machine that the entities took over her mind, and she turned against the necromancers. Several warriors were eliminated, including Howard's father, who, before losing his life, hid his son with a foster family. Furthermore, he applied a device to Howard's neck, called the Scrambler, which prevents spirits from tracking the necromancer's magic. After telling the whole truth, Luther asks Howard to join the battle, because without the necromancers, the spirits will bring darkness back to the world. However, the conversation is interrupted when Finnegan sends his men to capture Howard and the rest of the group. Luther then orders everyone to flee, but as they were crossing the corridor, one of the possessed appears and shoots Rangi in the head. With his friend's body on the ground, Howard tries to help him, and suddenly, a mysterious energy emanates from his body. He has no idea how he did it, but more possessed people begin to invade the building. To keep them occupied, Luther decides to confront the spirits alone, and sends his daughters to take Howard to his hideout. With no other choice, Molly and Torkel flee with Howard through the garbage chute and head back to the car. At that moment, Luther reloads his weapon and goes to confront the ghosts. However, he is surprised by Finnegan, who pins him against the wall using her telekinesis. She demands to know where her son is, but Luther refuses to tell her, and is cowardly eliminated by Lurch. Outside the building, Molly orders Howard to get in the car, but he refuses and tries to escape, only to be run over by a police car. Hours later, he wakes up in a hospital bed, and to his surprise, sees Rangi on the ceiling, talking to him. The shock is so great that Howard falls out of bed, but Rangi tries to calm him down, saying that after his death, he became a wandering spirit. Before he can understand what's happening, Rangi senses someone approaching and leaves the room to see who it is. Seconds later, a nurse with blood-stained clothing enters the room, alongside Finnegan. As Luther had said, the woman reveals herself to be Howard's mother and tells her son to join her, promising to make up for all the lost time. She even offers him great powers, and to prove it, she applies some of her evil energy to Howard's body. Finally, she retrieves a mysterious box and asks Howard to connect it to her neck scrambler so she can become even stronger. However, Howard senses an evil spirit inside the box and refuses, provoking Finnegan's fury. However, before she can act, Molly and Torkel burst into the room, fire their weapons, eliminate the nurse, and throw Finnegan out the window. After that, the sisters help Howard escape the hospital and head to the top of the building. Suddenly, Molly's supernatural energy reader indicates that there's a ghost nearby, and Torkel pulls out a weapon to eliminate it. However, it's revealed that the spirit is Rangi, who, thanks to Howard's magic, has become a specter, a type of ghost with great powers. Thanks to this, he can be a great ally in the fight against Finnegan, who is using the necropods to form a pentagram in the city. When this happens, the symbol will create a magic capable of absorbing the souls of all the inhabitants of the region, making Finnegan even stronger. To prevent this, Molly decides to take one of the necropods, the nearest one located in an alley. However, it is being protected by an evil entity, and Molly enlists Howard's help to stop his mother's evil plans. Having a debt to repay to Luther, Howard agrees to help them, but first, he needs to learn to control his necromancer powers. The sisters then take him to their hideout. The place is protected with scramblers to prevent Finnegan from locating them from a distance. Inside, Molly shows a sandbag and tells Howard to practice his strikes, but not using his fists, instead using his necromantic magic. As expected, he doesn't know how to activate this power, so Molly decides to try something simpler. She places a coin on the ground, and using some of her magic, Molly helps Howard concentrate enough to move the coin. With a calm mind, Howard makes a movement with his hands and manages to activate his magic, making the coin float right in front of him. Then, he makes another test with the sandbag, and using all his concentration, the necromancer unleashes a powerful spell, hurling the bag far away. After that, the sisters show him the necroportal, a device that materializes spirits so they can be destroyed. Torkel then picks up a trap box, the same one Finnegan tried to connect to Howard, which serves as a prison for the ghosts. Finally, Molly gives Howard a special suit, designed to prevent spirits from entering his body. With the equipment ready, the sisters instruct Howard to use his necromantic magic to activate the machine, causing the spirit from the box to materialize through the portal. Howard once again focuses his energy, and a ghost begins to take shape before his eyes. As soon as the creature is released, Torkel activates a powerful weapon called Betsy, and fires a blast of ectoplasm at the entity, completely disintegrating it. After this training, Howard is ready for his first mission, and he must help the sisters retrieve the necropod from the city. To do this, they need to go through an underground tunnel and eliminate the ghost guarding the device. While Torkel and Molly eliminate the entity and retrieve the necropod, Howard must attach an ectoplasm bomb to the tunnel. If all goes well, they will be able to retrieve the necropod and return to their hideout without Finnegan noticing. With everything ready, the four set off through the tunnel, and as soon as Molly places the bomb on the wall, she leaves the detonator in Howard's hands. Then, the sisters climb the stairs to the city, and Torkel soon encounters the ghost, who is guarding the necropod. Meanwhile, Howard waits with Rangi, who is testing his new powers as a specter. Even without being able to move objects, Rangi extends his hand along the wall, causing a dark goo to spread through the tunnel. Howard is startled by this, and unintentionally ends up pressing the detonator button, causing the ectoplasm bomb to explode prematurely. The energy wave causes Torkel to miss its target, and the ghost guarding the necropod manages to escape towards the tunnel. Upon arriving there, the spirit heads towards Howard, but Rangi protects his friend once more and takes the ghost away. Despite having the powers of a specter, Rangi is defeated, and the ghost prepares to eliminate Howard, but Torkel appears and throws an ectoplasm bomb. After this confrontation, Molly manages to remove the necropod, but Finnegan already knows they are nearby and sends more spirits to control the players. The possessed try to block the exit and turn off all the lights in the tunnel. With the place completely dark, the evil spirits advance against the group, but Molly and Torkel draw their weapons and shoot at the creatures. Despite their efforts, the sisters are defeated by the entities and fall to the ground unconscious. Next, one of the possessed women is controlled by Finnegan, and she speaks to Howard, asking him to return home. However, he refuses, and using his necromantic powers, expels the evil spirit from within the possessed young woman. The battle was won, and the group returns to their hideout to discover what's inside the necropod. To the sisters' horror, upon opening the device, they find the head of their Uncle Dave, another necromancer who had been missing for days. Because of Finnegan's magic, he still possesses consciousness, and claims to be used to absorb the souls of humans connected to the game. It is then revealed that all the prisoners are dead necromancers, placed in the necropods to absorb the spirits of their victims with their magic. After recounting everything, Dave asks Molly to end his suffering, and even though she doesn't want to, she pulls out a gun and shoots her uncle. What she and Torkel don't suspect is that their father is also being used to create a necropod, and with it, the pentagram will finally be complete. Realizing the threat is greater than she imagined, Molly decides to hack into Finnegan's network to discover her hideout. To do this, she intends to connect her scrambler to the same machine created by the villain, transporting her soul to the virtual environment. The sisters have a compact version of the machine in their father's van, but Torkel goes ahead and says she'll do it herself. Then, using the machine, she shocks herself with a defibrillator, and her soul begins to travel through the cable connection until it finds Finnegan's control center. However, the villain senses her presence and decides to do the same, transporting her soul to the virtual connection. With the villain trying to capture her soul, Torkel flees back to the van, but when she returns to her body, Finnegan also goes with her, and the two begin to fight for control. Seeing her sister's body writhing, Molly begs Howard to save Torkel using his magic. He then extends his hands and tries to concentrate, but this causes an unexpected effect, and Torkel's body cannot withstand the necromantic energy, causing her head to explode into 1,000 pieces. Everyone is shocked by what has just happened, especially Molly, who cries before her sister's body. However, it is too late, and the group has no choice but to return to their hideout, taking Torkel's body with them. Upon arriving, Molly is overcome with rage and pulls a gun on Howard, accusing him of being an undercover agent for Finnegan. While he tries to explain himself, Rangi senses a presence coming from the car and realizes there's a trap box, trapping a spirit. He discovers that the spirit in question is that of Torkel, who, thanks to the machine, managed to keep her essence inside the trap box. Rangi can hear her, and Torkel asks to be released from the box, but if they do, her soul will be sent to the afterlife. Rangi then suggests that they place the box in the necroportal, as this way they can materialize Torkel into a new body. Although he has never done this with human souls, the trio decides to test it, and as soon as the machine is ready, Howard uses his magic to activate it. From within the portal, a body begins to form, and then Torkel returns to life as a human-specter hybrid. Thanks to this, she is stronger and more resilient than ever, and has also stored all the information from Finnegan's control center. With this advantage, the group plans to invade the villain's base and put an end to her evil plan once and for all. Minutes later, they arrive at the building where Finnegan is, and Torkel uses her new powers to get past security with Rangi's help. As she boards the elevator, a group of possessed beings awaits her on the other side, ready to eliminate the intruder with their weapons. However, Torkel throws an ectoplasm grenade, exploding all the demented beings in the corridor in a matter of seconds. At that same moment, Howard and Molly head down the garage, wearing protective suits and carrying their ectoplasm weapons. Howard decides to go to the main chamber to disable the connection network, while Molly stays behind to keep the area safe. Suddenly, Howard is attacked by one of the spirits, which pulls him towards a dark corridor. Luckily, Molly manages to hit the ghost with an ectoplasm blast, but it still manages to escape. With no time to lose, Howard heads to the main chamber, but soon after, the ghost returns and tries to attack Molly. Even though she can't break free, she grabs an ectoplasm grenade and detonates it, eliminating the entity at once. Meanwhile, Torkel continues to face more possessed beings, finding herself surrounded in a narrow corridor. Even so, she draws her weapons and shoots at the possessed, with Rangi helping in the battle and striking the demented beings with quick punches. After eliminating everyone, the duo moves on, but Lurch blocks the path and fires an ectoplasm blast at Torkel. To make matters worse, the last necropod is activated, and a gigantic pentagram forms around the entire city. Now that the main weapon is ready, Finnegan connects to the device and activates it, causing the spirits of everyone in the city to be absorbed. To thwart the villain's plans, Torkel rises and attacks her, but Finnegan is too powerful and easily defeats her. However, Torkel only wanted to get close to her, and with her power, she exploded her body, destroying the entire building system. Thanks to this, the city's residents are saved, but Finnegan still needs to be eliminated. Molly doesn't intend to let her sister's sacrifice be in vain, so she deactivates the suit's protection and connects her mind to the building's network. Upon applying the connector to her scrambler, Molly suffers an electric shock and falls to the ground unconscious. Howard rushes to help her, however, the young woman attacks him, now possessed by Finnegan's spirit. The villain is furious to see that her son tried to ruin her plans, and with her power, she attempts to absorb his soul. However, Howard manages to activate Molly's protective suit, trapping Finnegan inside. After that, he takes the young woman back to the van, and just as he tried to do with Torkel, he decides to use his necromantic magic to free her from Finnegan's spirit. Before doing so, Rangi advises him to use the energy with more control, so that he doesn't blow Molly's head off. Howard accepts the advice, and concentrating his energy to the maximum, he extracts Finnegan's spirit and transfers it to a trap box. With Molly safe, the group hurries back to the hideout, where they will use the necroportal to destroy Finnegan. With the box placed in the machine, Howard activates the necroportal once more, and Finnegan emerges in a monstrous form, alongside Torkel. Upon seeing her sister again, Molly hesitates to shoot, but Finnegan seizes the opportunity and removes Torkel's head. Howard tries to attack his mother, but she pushes him away with her telekinesis, leaving Molly to face the creature. Unfortunately, she is no match for Finnegan, who effortlessly removes Molly's right arm and throws her away. Her mother's wickedness awakens Howard's fury, who, concentrating all his necromantic energy, pushes the creature towards the base's reactor. Believing Finnegan is gone forever, he rushes to help Molly, but the creature reappears and pins him against the wall. With no way to escape, Howard begins to have his soul absorbed by the monster, but when all seemed lost, Molly gets up and fires a shot from Betsy at Finnegan. Even with all its power, the entity cannot withstand the ectoplasm blast, and its body is shattered into pieces. Finally, Finnegan's threat is over, and Torkel manages to reattach her head to her body using staples. However, her sister lost a lot of blood, and if something isn't done, she won't survive. Howard then has an idea and carries Molly's body to the necroportal, where he uses his energy to bring her back. Seconds later, Molly wakes up, her arm being reconstructed with spectral energy. The young woman thanks them for their help, and the group can finally rest, having saved the city from Finnegan's plans. A year later, a couple is returning to their car when the wife is possessed by an evil spirit. Out of control, she attacks her husband and prepares to absorb his soul, but a van pulls up in the parking lot, and Molly emerges from inside, eliminating the creature with a blast of ectoplasm. Although Finnegan has been eliminated, the fight between necromancers and evil spirits will continue for a long time. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.